Welcome to part 4. This is the second day that we went out with Frankland Island Reef cruises, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. Matt was my guide for the day. Matt took me over the coral very slowly so that we could try and get some good shots of the coral, which is what we are going to show you today. I forgot to put on my life jacket, but I managed very nicely without it. It's a jolly good thing that we have the life rings, as I held on to it most of the time and concentrated on where I could put my camera to get nice shots for you so that you could enjoy the reef as well. It was a lovely fun day again. It was well worth the money spent, even though there was a little bit of ocean dust. I asked the marine biologist on the way home as she was in the bus with us, and this is what she said.
Okay, can you answer that question again, please?
Trichodesmia. You're going to have to Google it too. So trichodesmia is a blue-green algae that's found generally when we have a little extra nitrogen in the water. You'll get a big bloom of the blue-green algae.
Okay, cool.
And that's what we had in the water today. It's also known as sea sawdust. So you can look it up as sea sawdust, and then you can see that it occurs in different environments and in different colors. So sometimes, like today, it was kind of a yellowish white color, but you can also get it in stronger red colors or blue or greener colors depending on what kind of ponds they're in. It helps produce lots of oxygen in the water, but sometimes what happens is if it gets too thick and it's not moving around, it actually causes a shadow over the coral. So you actually start losing the coral's ability to photosynthesize because all the UV's being captured by all this thick algae layer on the top. So that sometimes it can be a little problematic for the coral as well. The currents that move around, so everything's constantly circulating around today. So we can take note of it being in the water, but it may not be sticking around for a long time. Hopefully not. We're going to keep moving on.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It was wonderful colour to see. It depended on the angle of the light on the coral to the camera and the depth of the coral in the water to how much colour we actually saw. Where the reef is exposed to sunlight in the low tide, the coral makes its own sunscreen, which makes it look like a brown colour or a whitish colour, but it is not dead. And the camera doesn't show up the colour very well in deeper water because the light can't get down to the coral as well. So in between times, the camera does a fantastic job. It was beautiful to see this coral. It was just magnificent. The coral has to grow quite quickly to make up for the coral fish's appetite. And if you listen closely, you'll hear the sound of the fish chomping on the coral, making the sand for us. They are constantly munching on the coral and pooping out sand. So when you're on a sand island, you are actually on fish poop. I plan to put out a movie of our snorkeling trips each Thursday. So I hope you guys enjoy looking at the coral as much as I've enjoyed making the movie for you. It depends on the tide and the time of day as to where the company drops you off in the ocean to start your snorkeling trip. So you can go multiple times and always see a new spot in the coral where you snorkel over the reef. That is one of the advantages of going with Frankland Island Reef cruises. Fortunately, they have different mooring allocations, so they can use different places to stop the boat and let you snorkel over different parts of the reef. Yesterday we were at the cabbage patch section of the coral and not sure what the name of this part of the reef is. Even though I don't have the name for this section of the coral reef, it is still very beautiful. They promise they will take you by boat to the western side of Normanby Island for their adventure snorkel safari trip. And you hop into the water from the boat and drift snorkel back to the island around to the beach. On your way, you discover coral gardens full of hard and soft corals, giant clams, and an abundance of colourful fish. And they live up to that promise well and truly. It is absolutely beautiful to see the underwater gardens. So it works in together and grows very nicely. It only proves that there is a creator that designed all this. They have been given the prestigious award of the most pristine waters of the Barrier Reef, near Cairns. And I believe it. It is absolutely beautiful. Snorkeling with this company around this island was the reason why we came on this holiday, and we have done 2 days with them. Thoroughly enjoyed both days. So next week I plan to show you the close-ups that Mathew made with my Gopro. It was lovely to have a guide with the confidence to be able to free snorkel down a couple of meters into the water and give me beautiful close-ups. It is something I wish I could do, but being an asthmatic and not being able to get my head in under the water, I'm content to let someone else do it for me. Matt very nicely went down and took some close-up movies for me. So that will be the movie that I put out for next week.